Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's beer review. It is Friday afternoon. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. It's kind of early for my review, but at 3 o'clock, I got my Medicare hat on. Medicare is going to be doing another stream. Seems like his health's been picking up lately, so I'm going to get ready to laugh. So part of that is, of course, getting a little bit stewed, and I'm going to dub this stream the uh, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama stream. So, yeah, creator of Dragon Ball just died. Fairly young, I believe 68. All of the great mangaka die young, it seemed. And they've actually kind of looked in, other mangaka have kind of discussed this amongst themselves and made little autobiographical comics. And they have like an insane workload. So they don't get enough sleep and they have a high stress level and everything. And unfortunately, leads to early death amongst them, which is kind of sad. Um, but anyways, I love Dragon Ball. Um, I have many happy hours of watching it. So yeah, you know, here's to you, Toriyama. Toriyama Sensei. Yeah. And what are we reviewing today? We're going to be reviewing the last of the Westmalle line, and this is the Tripel. Of course, this is a Trappist ale. This is 9.5 ABV. And the ingredients say water, malted barley, sugar, hops, yeast. So, of course, this one has the addition of rock sugar, which is what defines it as the triple. Though quads also have rock sugar in it, too. Westmalle does not make a quad. They only have the 3 beers. Of course, this is a Trappist ale made by monks. And it is going into the snifter. So, yeah, looking forward to this. I pulled this out of the refrigerator about 20 minutes ago, so it should be the correct temperature. Hopefully has a bit more carbonation than the double did, though that was a very quiet whisper when I uncapped it. So I'm going to give it a kind of vigorous pour here. Oh, and this seemed to have worked. So, sort of orange amber color with a thick, fluffy, off-white head. Ooh, that's some big phenolic notes there. Clove, bubblegum. Underneath that, almost wine-like notes, white wine-like notes. Apples, pears. Certain tartness kind of comes up in the nosing. Don't know if it's tart on the palate. Never had this before. Hmm. Hard to see the carbonation in the goblet here. As you shouldn't call it goblet. I should call it a snifter since that's what it is. Standing in as a goblet. All in all, fruity, estery, also some phenolic notes. You know, kind of bready malts underneath, I suppose. Okay, onto the palate now, shall we? Prickly carbonation up front that lasts into the mids. Finish, there's almost like a taste, light taste of banana, hot bitterness. Again, the top note that dominates in the finish too is almost like that white wine-like note there. Bit evocative of a Riesling. Up front, big phenolic kind of bubblegum-like notes up in the top note. An alcoholic note emerges in the mids and into the finish. More or less clears the palate by the long finish. It's a bit sharper rather than smooth. Let's go and pour out the rest of this very carefully so we don't get the lees. This kind of brings up something I've noticed, that American-made like triples have a lot more residual sweetness to them than the actual Belgian ones do. There's sweetness in this, but the finish comes across as very dry. You know, most of the sweetness is front-loaded. The flavors don't really pop out as much as some other triples I've had before. You know, there's kind of, I wouldn't say it's mushy, but it doesn't stand, you know, those flavor notes aren't really popping. Hmm. That wine-like note mixed with the hoppiness really dominates the finish. And really, as it warms up, it's moving towards the mids and in almost into the front too. Yeah, this is amongst one of the most wine-like kind of beers I've ever tasted. You know, in the flavor profile on the palate. More of like your typical Belgian notes appear in the top note as opposed to palate. You know, it's kind of I'm not going to say this is bad, but the double and triple from Westmalle has I haven't been, it hasn't blown me away like some other Trappist beer has. I have to say that, you know, the extra was probably the best. You know, it had the brightest flavor. You know, it came across as a very good Belgian-style pale ale. Where I think this one is a little bit too dominated by that wine-like note on the palate. You know, it's kind of killing. It's kind of overpowering all the other taste notes in there. You get them in the top note for sure, and up front. But once that really heavy kind of tart fruitiness kind of comes in the mids, it's like that all the way, and you know the hops sort of kick in towards the finish, and it's just like you know they're straight on the long finish. Or maybe I'm just getting jaded after drinking so many of these. You know, not so many of this beer. Like I said, this is my first time with this particular one, but just so many you know Belgian beers. So you notice I've been kind of on a roll with reviewing those. Yeah. I have to say I kind of prefer the double to this one even more, but the extra was probably the best one. Um, you know, because of the lighter style, I wasn't expecting much complexity or bold taste notes there um, for the extra. You know, so it kind of also too was like my first real, you know, pater's beer. You know, the ones that the actual monks drink. They don't drink these heavier ones, other than tasting during the brewing process. So, yeah, it looks like this is 2023, April 3rd. So it's about a year old, almost. I think you'll want this one fairly warm. I think half an hour would have been a better amount of warming time than the 20 minutes I gave it. It's a bit more expressive now. Nothing really new showing itself. Maybe the fruitiness is becoming a little bit more distinctive, you know, rather than just a conglomeration. Hmm. I don't know. The 9.5 is hitting me, so you know my vocabulary is dropping. So yeah, despite of this not being the best of the Trappist beers that I've sampled so far, um, I still think it is worth visiting. You might really like it. This might be your right up your alley. Um, there are really no bad true Trappist ales. You know, it's a matter of taste at this point. So, again, another beer that you should visit along on your beer journey here. And yeah, that, folks, is your beer review for this afternoon. Got 15 minutes until the stream starts, and I am ready to start laughing. And that, folks, is beer review. Cheers.